Welcome back to Kaijutopia! How's everyone doing on this fine Sunday afternoon? You know, it has been a while since I streamed. I feel like the last time I streamed, I said, wow, it has been a while. Indeed, it has. But hey, it's good to be back. It's good to see everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Today it's gonna be a doozy stream. It's been a hot minute, I think, since I did a Kaiju news roundup of sorts, where we're basically gonna discuss all the things that are happening. When I say all, I mean most. I don't think I can get it all, but we're gonna be discussing some major updates in the Kaiju, Tokusatsu, Godzilla fandom. We're going to be talking about some Godzilla Minus One. We're going to be talking about Ultraman Rising, talking about the upcoming MonsterVerse film, some interesting, cool developments. Speaking of the MonsterVerse, we got the long-awaited deleted scene from Godzilla 2014 that has finally been shared with the world. So there's a lot of good stuff coming our way that I can't wait to talk to everybody about. And then later we are going to talk about upcoming videos to the channel. I'm going to be breaking down some of exciting projects I'm going to be working on this summer, along with getting your thoughts on some projects that we may not see for quite some time, but I'm still super pumped about eventually having them come your way, because let's just face it, I am full to the brim with ideas and I can't wait to share them and such. But also feel free to say hi, feel free to talk about what else, if there's anything you want to share, whatever's on your mind. This is a pretty chill kind of channel, chill stream, you know, we just go with the flow. That's why I brought my coffee. I am ready. Oh, man. Alright, so let's get rid of me for a second. And we could come up with this. It's not a PowerPoint, surprisingly. It's a keynote presentation, but I might call it a PowerPoint during this stream, so we'll see. Kaiju News Roundup, June 2024, even though it's about to be July, hosted by Tom. Hey, that's me. Let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about here, and stop me if you've heard this before. It's a great time to be a Tokusatsu fan. It's a great time to be a Godzilla fan. It's a great time to be an Ultraman fan. It's a great time to be a Gamera fan. You've heard this, I'm sure, more than once. Now, I am guilty 100% of saying these in previous videos. I have, of course, talked... Ooh, let's get rid of me. Poor Gamera. Oh, man, my apologies, Gamera. There. Okay. So, as I was saying, I'm totally guilty of saying this line so many times, okay? And I mean it. I mean it every time I say it. It's a great time to be a Godzilla fan. At the same time, though, I'm just going to be real. It's always a great time. It's always been a great time. But the reason why it's great to say such a thing, the reason why I think there's truth behind it is, well, look right here. Look right before your eyes. We're seeing a Tokusatsu renaissance. A Kaiju, a new Kaiju golden age. We have Ultraman Rising up here on the top left, Godzilla Minus One, top center, Godzilla Kong the New Empire, Gamera Rebirth, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider, and of course you got Godzilla Ultima sneaking, in the background in the top left, top center here. Godzilla Singular Point is, a show that I'm a fan of. I love it. My wife and I watch it every time we get a chance because it's just so engrossing. There's just so much to it. Like, there are many layers Sometimes it's a bit ridiculous, of course, but you know, we can talk about Godzilla Singular Point more later on, but I think it's a great time to be a Godzilla fan. It's always been a great time, but it cannot be denied that Godzilla is bigger than ever. With the success of the MonsterVerse, with Godzilla Minus One achieving global acclaim, even winning an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, there is so much to love. Now, let's get to it. What can we talk about? Ultraman Rising. I have thought long and hard about maybe doing a review because this movie is still fresh in my mind. It is living rent-free in my mind, and there is so much to talk about when it comes to this movie. In case you don't know, Ultraman Rising, it is streaming on Netflix right here, right now. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. Why are you watching me? Go enjoy this amazing work of art. Because when I say it's an excellent film, I'm not saying, oh yeah, it's a great Ultraman movie, or it's a terrific Tokusatsu film. No, it is. It's just an excellent film in general. There's so much to love and admire and enjoy and just completely like awestruck by what the animators, the director, Shan Nintendo, more about him in a second. There's just so many things that make Ultraman Rising, I think, now one of my new favorite kaiju films of all time. I'm just gonna have to update my list, I guess. It's got great characters, great character development. They're relatable. You totally can see where they're all coming from, even if at times they're misbehaving or acting in a way that you might go, why would you do that? You know why almost instantly. And if not, then there's a point to it. Like practically every shot, every scene serves a greater purpose in telling a story. And of course the pink kaiju here that Ultraman, spoiler alert, ends up adopting. It's not really a spoiler, you could tell by watching the trailer. I gotta say, I love this little kaiju named Emmy. I heart her. I want one. I mean, I kind of already do. Those of you who are familiar with me and my channel, I occasionally will share videos and photos of my son. He's a toddler. He's 4 years old, and when you watch how Emmy behaves in this movie, yeah, you kind of get a good feel for what it's like to be a parent. Every child was once a kaiju before they grew up. There it is. It's kind of blocked out here by me. Sorry about that, but I'll read off everything anyway, so you don't miss out. But there is a mid-credits scene. It is extremely important. It's a game changer. I'm not going to spoil anything here. Again, I might just do a more straightforward spoiler review. But I also want to say, follow the director on social media. He's active, friendly, very, very awesome. He's been sharing some important, I would say, behind the scenes information, and also adding some much needed introspection to a lot of what goes into not only the writing but producing. Like, he's just a fountain of knowledge, and he's been very gracious enough to share things online. So Shan Nintendo, I'm hoping I pronounce your name. Track him down, follow him. I am really hoping we see another Ultraman Rising sequel in the future, because despite how I would say how for the most part it's a self-contained story, I don't feel like you need to be an Ultraman fan to really enjoy and appreciate this flick. It really does leave so much more room for growth. That to me is a great test, one of many things that testifies to the fact that this is just one of those rare films where we're just as Tokusatsu fans, we're just fortunate to have this movie to be able to, you know, in my case, me personally, just recommending it to my family and friends. Which, you know, there was a time where recommending anything Tokusatsu to your, you know, family, friends or coworkers was always one of those like, are you sure about this? I mean, come on, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe not, maybe so. But yeah, man, given how well it's been doing on Netflix, I'm gonna be. Let me just say, I'm confident we're gonna get an Ultraman Rising sequel. There should be. It's incredible. Go watch it if you've already seen it. Like me, go watch it again. Watch it however many times to your heart's content. It's a great movie. Also, mad props to the animators at Industrial Light and Magic. You've crafted just an outstanding looking movie. The aesthetics are similar to those. Some fans of like Across the Spider-Verse might see some similar styles, techniques. From what I understand, that this is a coincidence, but I think, you know, it's similar to that saying, you know, great minds think alike. Well, great animators animate alike. So yeah, I've talked a lot about Ultraman Rising without wanting to go into spoiler territory, so I better move on. But yeah, the next section, Godzilla Minus One. Earlier this month, Godzilla Minus One was released on Apple and Netflix, and it became, I believe, not only was it #1 on Apple and Netflix at the same time, I believe it's the first film to actually achieve this feat. I've included here that director Yamazaki has stated that a sequel might potentially be made by 2027. Keep in mind, nothing's been greenlit. We don't know if this is actually gonna be going forward. And I'll come back to talking about whether or not, you know, should there be a sequel or not. We'll get to that. Believe me, I have a lot to say, and I'm sure a lot of you have a lot to add as well. But let's say if this turns out to be the case, we might once again be treated to 2 new Godzilla films being released in the same year. Last year, 2023, we saw, well, okay, around the same time, I should say. But, you know, we saw like Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Season 1 being released, and being able to watch that at the same time as Godzilla Minus One when it was released in theaters. In some parts of the world, you were actually able to see Godzilla Minus One and Godzilla Kong, the New Empire around the same time. So if that's you, lucky you. It did recently end its theatrical run in Japan. It was in theaters for over 200 days. That's just terrific. And Godzilla Minus Color is currently available as well. So if you've ever been interested in watching this movie in black and white, now's your chance. It's more than just, by the way, I haven't seen Minus Color yet. I'm going to be watching that soon, probably when this stream ends. But per my understanding, it's not as simple as taking a movie and adding a black and white like filter over it. From what I understand, they actually went through the painstaking process of going frame by frame and trying to find a way to actually make this legit, like make this they went through and like I'd say animated the entire movie and redid it in a certain way to make it an entirely different viewing experience. Coffee. Okay. I needed my fuel there. Alright, so let's say Godzilla Minus One gets a sequel. First, do we think this movie needs a sequel? As of right now, when it comes to needs, as in is there something like some loose ends that the story needs to explore further? You know what? You can make the case that due to a certain character miraculously surviving Godzilla's attack on Ginza, that yes, there are questions that need answers, and this could be explored in a future installment. But the question of whether or not this needs a sequel, I mean, I gotta be truly upfront with all of you, no matter what my stance is. If director Yamazaki comes back and he has this story that he's just super proud of, and everyone returns, and this movie, a sequel, is greenlit, and it's coming out in 2027 or 2028, what have you. Regardless how I feel about there being a sequel, I'm going to be the first one to see it. I mean, I might as well plan ahead now and think about going to Japan to see its world premiere. I love Godzilla Minus One. This movie has changed everything. It's groundbreaking, not only for the series, for the Godzilla character, but it's opened so many doors of opportunity. Now the series, I feel like there's nothing Godzilla cannot do. Godzilla is now accessible to cinema lovers worldwide. I feel like he always has been, but now there is a high quality, incredible film made that just so happens to have Godzilla play a key role that's now accessible to everyone. I don't think Godzilla Minus One needs a sequel. It's perfectly fine to leave it be. As far as standalone stories go, I think the film's plot is solid. All the major characters' stories have concluded. They all went through their respective arcs. They all changed and became better people by the film's finale. And though we could see a sequel where none of the characters return, which is fine, we could if in a hypothetical sequel, we could see completely new faces, new people, new stories, but it's the same Godzilla. That's totally cool too. But I don't think this movie needs a sequel. But if it ends up having a sequel greenlit, and Yamazaki's returning, and you have basically another film that is going to be to the series as Godzilla Minus One was, then I am game. Bring it on. I kind of feel like, as far as sequels go, okay, so I alluded to her before, but in Godzilla Minus One, there's a character named Noriko. Noriko, about in the scene of the movie, and those of you who've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. In the scene, something happens to Noriko, and her fate seems to be pretty much a foregone conclusion. She was unalived, so to speak. But then, in the, hey, spoilers, I guess, but hey, that's where we are. You have a chance to stop if you haven't seen this movie by any chance. But spoiler alert, Noriko survives. It's a miraculous recovery. And the director recently revealed that these, we see in the closing shots, the last moment we see Noriko on screen, you see these black veins moving, under her neck. And the director confirmed these are G cells, Godzilla cells. So Godzilla has somehow had a sort of unexpected effect on Noriko. and a potential sequel could explore that. I have some ideas, of course, that I would love to share, but I need to really polish them out before I want to share them publicly, so at least I sound a bit, more intelligent. Yeah. But my idea in a nutshell is that Noriko isn't alone. There are others who have G cells who have been afflicted by Godzilla in one way or another, and perhaps the efficacies have a different effect, like G cells affect people in different ways. For Noriko, she got lucky. It's given her some, longevity, to put it bluntly. She might possibly be immortal. But then there are others who may slowly begin to mutate. Maybe the G cells have a negative effect on their bodies. Maybe they all are like Noriko and they all have survived, and maybe in time they will, their fellow countrymen will actually come to fear them because of their G cells, because of their affliction. Again, I want to think things through before going all in to this pitch, but let's get to our next slide. Alright folks, it's time to talk about the MonsterVerse. Not too long ago, Legendary revealed that March 26th, 2027 is the day that Godzilla Kong 3 will be released. They are eyeing that anyway. Keep in mind, this is subject to change. These sort of movies have been delayed before, so expect that to happen again. Godzilla x Kong 3, by the way, is a working title. We don't know what this movie is going to be called, but that's just for the sake of, everyone being on the same page. This is just, what we got. But I am happy that it's coming out in 2027. It's not being rushed, so we're not going to see it in 2026. If they were thinking about releasing it in 2026, I admit I would be very nervous. These movies, even if, they are at times mindless blockbusters, there's a lot that goes into them. That, the visual effects alone, for example, that if suddenly we're rushing production, it's gonna just look so bad, and we don't want that. The MonsterVerse has a diverse filmography. A lot of movies, you could tell them apart just by looking at them. This is due to different directing styles. Most of them have different directors, except Godzilla vs. Kong and The New Empire. That was Adam Wingard, the first MonsterVerse director to direct 2 MonsterVerse films back to back. Speaking of directors, we do have a new one. Grant Spator will direct. I'm not familiar with Grant's work, so I can't really say I'm super pumped, excited, or anything. I'm just kind of gonna wait and see. I do wish him the best, as these sort of movies can be not only life-changing, but they can be extremely stressful. It is not easy to make a massive blockbuster. It's not easy to make an indie film. Making movies is hard, okay? You know what, though? I'm pretty pumped for this movie overall. I do think that even though every MonsterVerse film looks different, it has its own unique cinematography, its own unique style. You can still, I think, watch all of them, like from Godzilla 2014 to New Empire. You can still watch them all and just see the direct connection they all have. To those of you who don't know, by the way, Godzilla Kong: The New Empire is currently streaming exclusively on Max. When I say currently, I'm wrong. Wait, July 4th. Here, you can see my face now. I lied to you just a moment ago. A Freudian slip there. July 4th is when it will start streaming on Max. Forgive me, everybody. Forgive me. What's up, Nexus? I do agree. If we don't get a sequel, that will be totally fine. But, in all caps, I really want one. I want to see Noriko's life after the film, living with her scars. I absolutely agree. I think you and I are kind of, on the same page here, like-minded. I think we both want Noriko to take on the protagonist role. I think she was the co-protagonist. I think her role was just as important in Godzilla Minus One, but I think in a potential sequel, she should definitely become the main character. I'm glad to see that you are excited for Godzilla X Kong 3 Nexus. Good to hear. Wow. Okay. I should also mention now that we're still on the topic of the MonsterVerse talk here. But Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 was greenlit not too long ago. It is currently in production, and it might just premiere late 2025. So to those of you who are like, man, I don't know if I can wait until 2027 for my new MonsterVerse film, don't worry, you're gonna get some MonsterVerse goodies by around 2025, 2026. It's gonna be worth it. Legacy of Monsters Season 1 was amazing. It did start to drag a little near the end, but that's fine. I love this show overall, and I'm extremely happy to see that it's coming back. And I've heard rumors that Kong is going to be taking on a more prominent role, which I welcome. I love me some Kong. Godzilla fans, I hear you. I know we want Godzilla to become the Kaiju star in the MonsterVerse again because, well, Kong is the one that had a more serious arc, whereas Godzilla was just there to blow things up and be a boss, right? He was clearly the OP character that you call when you really need help. But anyway, Kong, to me, there's a reason why he became the Titan protagonist of the MonsterVerse. There's a reason why he had a rather interesting arc, something we haven't seen for a monster in a long time, and it started in Kong Skull Island. We saw it recently conclude in the New Empire. I'm not suggesting that we should never see Kong again. His whole thing is his plot, his purpose is concluded. I'm not saying that at all. However, I'm just trying to point out there is a reason why Kong was placed in front of the camera, why he was the main Mon star. And it's due to the fact that, look in the mirror, we are apes, yeah? And Kong is, let me just say, relatable. You can empathize with him, through body language alone. There's a reason why Kong became the Titan protagonist. But have no fear. I think we're going to see Godzilla take the spotlight again in the upcoming Godzilla Kong 3. And Godzilla is clearly not going anywhere as long as there are MonsterVerse films. I'm pretty certain we're going to see Godzilla for at least several more years. Oh, and I think we're going to see obviously some other monsters pop up again too. I don't know for sure, of course, but this is just my opinions for now. I think we're definitely going to see not only Kong again, but I'm hoping we get to see Mothra again, Shimo again. I mean, there's so much to like, but let's see. My only hope is that the main trio is better written in season 2. They just got a bit annoying in the middle of season 1. Agreed, Nexus. Agreed. Now, don't get me wrong. The main trio that you're talking about, I for the most part like them. I thought they were pretty good characters. Obviously, they didn't quite compare to our older trio from, you know, the 1950s and such, when we started seeing how Monarch was first founded. Obviously, if we could have just followed them, the old crew, I would have been game. I would have been all over it. But yeah, I'm really hoping things go in a different direction, especially in light of how some of these actors since then have gone on to great prominence, and we've seen some great range on their part. If you want to know, if you want me to be specific, check out Shogun on Hulu. It's like one of the best miniseries I've ever seen, and I'm like, just imagine that Shogun meets Godzilla. There it is. There's my pitch for an all-new series right there. I clearly need more coffee. So, okay, moving on. So, I'm not gonna like dwell too much on this. This is Toho Wonder Festival. I just love the artwork. That's the main reason why I'm sharing this with you guys. For starters, front and center, we have Godzilla 84. And in the left corner, you can see Super Mecha Godzilla. And right above him, you can see Rainbow Mothra from the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. And, you know, more 1 o'clock, we got the Super X. Right under Super X is Rodan. And if you look to Rodan's bottom right, near the corner, you could see one of Void Ghidorah's heads. Void Ghidorah is, well, from the Godzilla Earth anime trilogy, produced by Polygon. Just in case some of you didn't know what I meant by Void Ghidorah, that's who that is. I'm honestly just sharing this purely because, again, this artwork is phenomenal. And this is by no means an official movie project announcement of any kind. I'm not saying this is like Toho's next movie or anything. I wish this would probably break all the records, at least in my book, and my book is a bestseller. I'm just sharing this for celebratory reasons. Like, this is incredible. I love the tweaks that were done to the G84 design here. He looks majestic. He looks powerful. He just looks like the king of the monsters. Rainbow Mothra looks divine. I've always liked the Rainbow Mothra designs. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Rebirth of Mothra Kaiju designs. I mean, from Desghidorah to Grand King Ghidorah, Mothra's many forms. I'm a fan. But I gotta say, the Heisei Rodan redesign here is perfection. Looks a little slimmer, more agile, but also just, this Rodan looks like he could just tear you up. He could just eat you alive. I'm all here for it. That's pretty much it. That's the only reason why I'm sharing this. If you want to look more into it, or if you happen to know more about the Toho Wonder Festival, feel free to chime in, let me know. All right, let's get rid of me for a second so we can really take all this in. And by the way, Nexus, Shogun was great. I'm so happy you watched it. Shogun is amazing. Such a great show. I need to watch it again. Apparently they're working on season 2, so I'm a little kind of similar in my feelings on Godzilla Minus One. You know, I don't really think there needs to be a sequel, but, you know, given how much I love Godzilla Minus One, how much I loved Shogun, I will still watch. You could say I'm part of the problem. Anyway, what you're seeing on screen right now, this is actually not a screen grab from Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. These are the SH Monster Art figures. I've already ordered Evolved Godzilla, Scar King as well, and I'll likely pick up one of the newest Kongs as well in the future. Unfortunately, I have no plans of getting the Shimo design. Now, I understand some fans recently You know, it's the internet. It's very easy for people to just be, well, super hypercritical. Hey, I'm a Godzilla YouTuber. Of course, I'm critical too, right? Actually, I don't think so. I'm generally pretty upbeat. But anyway, I'm not getting. It's not that I don't like the Shimo design. It's that I've already pre-ordered the Haya Toys Shimo, and I don't feel the need to get another Shimo. And Shimo is pretty massive. I don't have enough space. I mean, just look behind me. Does it look like I have enough space for any of these? No, but I'm gonna find a way. But still. The only thing missing in this shot, of course, is Scar King should be wielding Kong's axe, but whatevs. Alright, moving on. We're going to go into comic book territory here. Not too long ago, the Godzilla 70th anniversary was released. I picked it up, read it. There's quite a number of standouts, but I'm just going to share 3 here. I'm going to do my best not to go into spoiler territory. Yeah, I'm just going to avoid that completely because some of these do have spoilers that you may not appreciate the fact that some extremely handsome ginger man online spoiled for you. So some of the standouts: the Half-Century Boar by James Stokoe. Sorry, forgive me for having it say Stoke here. Let me fix that real quick. James Stokoe not only wrote but illustrated, in my opinion, the greatest Godzilla comic series, Godzilla: The Half-Century War. And the Half-Century Boar, it turns out, is an unexpected companion piece to the overall story of the Half-Century War. Seriously, it's extremely good. And the Half-Century War is amazing, but the Half-Century Boar gives you a... I was not expecting it. When I started reading it, I loved it because, you know, I love it when you find humor, unexpected humor in the most unexpected places. So in Godzilla: The Half-Century War, our main human characters, they've been following Godzilla for 50 years, hence the half-century part. But the Half-Century Boar follows human characters. These characters have the misfortune of, instead of following Godzilla around the globe, they become Hedorah experts. Hedorah, the smog monster, who is also self-contained. So instead of traveling the world, these guys unfortunately are stuck in one place with a toxic, vile, giant monstrosity. Nexus said the price for Shimo is insane. Definitely getting the Haya. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, as much as I would love to have the SH Monster Arts design, I love me SH Monster Arts. What can I say? I think they, generally speaking, do a pretty good job, but Haya is right up on par with them, and their prices are just more affordable. So you gotta make that choice. And Nexus wrote, "Yes, I absolutely loved Matt Frank's story. I literally had that as a dream nightmare once." Oh boy. Well, let's just jump straight to In the Shadow of a God by Matt Frank, with poetry by my friend Donnie Winter. Nexus, you can't just leave us. You gotta elaborate. What do you mean? Like, you had a nightmare dream of this? Are you saying you had a nightmare of something similar and then this story came out? Or did you read Matt Frank's story and had a dream about it after? I gotta know. Don't leave us hanging. But yeah, In the Shadow of a God is just surreal. I feel like if I just explain a bit of what happens, I might accidentally spoil this story for anyone who hasn't seen it or read it yet. But like, it's a great self-contained story, and it takes place during the 1950s, and yeah, it can be pretty scary. So, as we all wait in great anticipation for Nexus, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you don't want to share, that's fine. But I'm just messing. But like, it's great. I almost want to say that the In the Shadow of a God made Godzilla 70th anniversary worth the price of admission alone. It's that good of a story. I also have Contagion by Dan Didio here. Contagion turned out to be something that I was not expecting, but then, hey, we live in a COVID world where this sort of thing, pandemics, it kind of immediately will elicit I don't want to sound dramatic, but I get a little PTSD thinking about it. And Contagion kind of like hit that chord. So it's a fascinating read. It definitely, to me, like, okay, so monsters like Godzilla are at their best when they are physical manifestations of our fears and anxieties that are generally speaking inspired by real world crises, real world problems. So when you take something like COVID, like the pandemic, and you turn it into like a giant monster, you're kind of seeing where I'm going with this. This is essentially Contagion. Nexus said, I had a dream about being on the ground during the 1954 attack, with planes flying by and tanks exploding. It was crazy. It was a few years ago. Jeez. No doubt, like, I kind of feel like... Would you say Godzilla Minus One... Did Godzilla Minus One kind of make you feel similarly as well? Like, it sounds like your dream was quite surreal, quite intense. So I'm wondering, is there any Godzilla movie that makes you feel like, yeah, that kind of captured the terror and dread I experienced, or encountered during that time? Like, I would be, again, curious to know what your thoughts are on that. Until then, let's continue. Recently, thanks to my friend Chris from Toho Kingdom, the long sought after Godzilla 2014 deleted scene of Godzilla actor legend Akira Takarada was shared. And I gotta say, guys, Chris is such a good guy. Okay, Chris, those of you who don't know, he's been like everywhere in Hollywood. He's a photographer. He has many contacts. He's practically friends with everybody. This guy can do it all. He's a director. He has done such a number of things over the years that, I'm just lucky. First, I'm lucky to call him friend. I'm lucky to, be able to, just talk to him, get his thoughts on things. He'll share a lot of really interesting things. He's just a great guy, and he's been, for about as long as Godzilla 2014 has been around, he's been hunting this thing down to get, to bring it to the surface, get this deleted scene released. At the bottom here, and I'll remove myself again, if you haven't seen it, you can go to Toho Kingdom to read the article. I strongly recommend that you do it, where the whole story is there. But yeah, I gotta say, like, this is such a huge win. This is a big deal to me. So I'm really proud of the fact that he achieved this, because he'd been working on it for many years. And man, having seen it, because you get to watch the deleted scene, guys. That's the whole point of it. You get to see just What's the fuss all about? And I gotta say, this scene should never have been deleted. I have seen some other Godzilla 2014 deleted scenes, and yeah, those most certainly, I can see why those were deleted, taken, left on the cutting room floor. But this one, no, this should have been left in. What did Nexus say? Oh yeah, part of why I loved Minus One. The terror of Godzilla's attack is such an important thing to me that I feel most films don't get right. It definitely helped Minus One become my favorite. Good to hear. Yeah, the terror of Godzilla's attack. Godzilla Minus One's like the only Godzilla movie I can think of where I was not actively cheering for Godzilla. In fact, quite the opposite. Every time he showed up, I was like terrified. I was like scared to death for these characters that, I cared so much about. And no, definitely wasn't rooting for Godzilla. And Mr. Nerder, what's up with this? Hey Kaiju, please listen to me. It would mean the world to me, please. I'm begging you. Hey Kaiju, can you listen to me? Okay. What's up? Is now a good time to draw attention to my really awesome Godzilla Minus One shirt? What do you guys think about this? See that? You can tell I dress for the occasion. Alright, let's continue with more Kaiju news. Right here. Okay, so there's this comic book series called Godzilla Here There Be Dragons. It's great. You should totally pick it up. And the new series, a continuation of the first one, is called Godzilla Here There Be Dragons 2, Sons of Giants. Oh my god, Zilla, it's really good. Okay, so on the right, you could see this guy dressed in a Godzilla suit, and it looks kind of like, wow, I didn't know Kaiju cults existed. This dude is part of a group called the Sons of Giants. Think of them as a Godzilla Illuminati. These are some of the richest, most powerful people on the planet. By the way, this takes place, I don't know, in the 1700s. So it's a period piece. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, these guys are part of a kaiju worshipping cabal, which is an awesome, awesome plot in itself. And on the left here, you can see Hedorah totally rocking a Cthulhu, Lovecraftian sort of vibe. I think that's perfect for Hedorah, and I hope they're going with that this isn't just some, hey, this looks cool for a cover art. I hope this actually is a sign of what they plan to do with our dearly beloved smog monster. Next, major credit to Michael from the SH Monster Arts Articulation Series website for a lot of this, for these photos. Godzilla 1954 special color was announced. I've already pre-ordered mine. Here's a price roundup on this Kaiju News Roundup video. I order most of my figures from Awesome Collector. He's really awesome. Strongly recommend him. Big Bad Toy Store, of course, is pretty good too, but they're generally they're more pricey. But you have E-Night Media here, Kappa Hobby, and Entertainment Earth, amongst others. I'm really excited about this. This looks really well done. I mean, I get it's promotional art, and sometimes, when you get these figures, they sadly may not look exactly how, they don't exactly look how you were hoping they would be, but I'm excited about this. I love the original G54 design. It's nice to have one that's more in color, hence the special color version announcement. Happy 70th anniversary as well to one of, if not the best Godzilla film ever made. I favor Godzilla Minus One. to be honest. Just slightly, of course, but yeah. If anyone's interested, you should. I think this is definitely something to look into. Obviously, if you can't or you don't want to, then totally fine. But I can't wait to own mine, and yeah, I got plans. I got stop motion projects in mind for this bad boy. We'll talk about my stop motion endeavors probably in 20 minutes or so. We'll see. All right, next announcement. So you might be thinking, wow, Shin Godzilla is fighting the Avengers? I gotta pick up this comic. I gotta read this story. Not so fast. What you're about to see are Marvel comic book variants. These are just for the covers. It has nothing to do with the story of the respective comic. In other words, if you happen to pick up, let's say, this comic of Spider-Man and you see Godzilla in the background, don't expect to see Spider-Man crossing over with Godzilla in that story. These are just comic book cover. That's it. They don't have anything to do with the story. I want this to be clear because there's been some confusion I've noticed online. I would love for there to be an all-out Marvel Godzilla crossover event. We had that before. It was back in the 1970s. More on that in a moment because that's actually related to all of this. But please don't go in with lofty expectations. I don't want you guys to get your hopes up. With that said, this is some phenomenal cover art. I especially love these ones where we could see in the left corner Spider-Gwen, in the middle the Fantastic Four, along with Galactus fighting Godzilla. This is, and finally on the right you got Thor squaring off against Godzilla. I love it. This needs to happen for real. But what's this all about? Well, Marvel and Toho are working together, doing all this in celebration of, well, this October we're going to see the Marvel Godzilla Omnibus being re-released. There was a paperback Essentials version released years ago. The quality isn't that great if you ask me, but you know, it was still something. But this is a hardcover. It will be reprinted in color on high quality paper. And I gotta say, just a second. Yeah, I honestly at this point, this dude was just trolling me, and yeah, you're gone. Just, dude. Are you a real person or are you a troll? Are you like, are trolls real persons or are they bots? I don't know, but anyway, as I was saying, this is, if you've been waiting for this as much as I have, the Marvel Godzilla comic book series is actually really cool. And I'm thinking about perhaps covering it later in the year, because I just wrapped up covering the Justice League Godzilla crossover, which was awesome. And I wouldn't mind doing, maybe covering the Marvel Godzilla stories, because there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in those. Like, for example, you see Godzilla facing off against Hercules, Red Ronin. Red Ronin is like a giant samurai mech. Godzilla even comes to my hometown of Seattle. He faces off against the fearsome Yetrigar. Yetrigar is like a giant, like a Sasquatch. Super cool, vicious fight ensued. Godzilla dealing with Shield, the Mega Monster Triax, Kaiju. You see Godzilla face off against the Fantastic Four, Devil Dinosaur, and of course, it all culminates in Godzilla fighting the Avengers in New York City with a special guest cameo by Spider-Man. What's not to love? This is coming out October 1st, 2024, and I'm hoping it does so well that it would not surprise me if Toho and Marvel are in talks of doing another Marvel Godzilla crossover. We need another one. I would love to see how Godzilla would be treated, well, not just treated, but depicted in the modern Marvel universe. Because to my knowledge, as much I love Stan Lee, I love Stan the Man. May he continue to rest in peace and rest in power. But per my understanding, during the 1970s, he didn't really think that highly of Godzilla, and kind of thought that, you know, I guess he was reluctant to have Godzilla show up like in the Marvel universe at all, because, you know, Marvel was his co-creation and he clearly didn't want it to be, you know, messed up by this funny looking monster from Japan. But man, I like going back to what we just saw before, seeing something like Godzilla squaring off with the modern Avengers now, or Godzilla taking on Galactus. This is why we read comics. Like this is like your dreams come true. This needs to happen. But in the meantime, Marvel is going to be too busy having a crossover with another Tokusatsu legend, Ultraman. This was announced, I believe, 2 years ago, and for a while I was beginning to wonder if it was still in the works due to COVID and other stuff that caused massive delays. But this will be the first time Ultraman meets the Avengers, and they're going to be banding forces. They're going to come together to face off against some cosmic threat. You know, the normal for these sort of big crossover events. Nexus, you've been meaning to read the Marvel run. Seems like a good opportunity. Like, I really do think they're worth reading. I mean, yeah, sure, at times it feels a little dated, but that's kind of part of their charm. I don't really think any of the human characters are that interesting. There's really not much in a way, aside from maybe a handful of characters. You know, don't go in expecting like something that's going to, you know, knock you off your feet. Like, I read them mainly because I just love watching how Godzilla interacts with the Marvel universe. But you know what? All this talk about Godzilla, Marvel, Ultraman crossing over with Marvel, I honestly do think this could open the door to future crossovers starring our beloved Tokusatsu stars. I mean, Godzilla, Ultraman. Who's to say we're not going to get a Godzilla, Ultraman, Marvel crossover now? I mean, anything's possible. Just given the success now, I mean, Godzilla's hot, man. I mean, that might sound a little weird, but I mean, like, no, he's hot. Like, he's like, everyone's talking about him. Godzilla's cooking, and so is Ultraman. The success of Shin Ultraman, Ultraman Rising, Ultraman now crossing over with the Avengers. This is really good. Again, it's a great time to be a fan. Okay, we interrupt these comic book monologues with more toy announcements. All right, so Soul of Chogokin. I always say this wrong the first time. Chogokin Mechagodzilla Showa was announced with an estimated arrival of February 2025. You're looking at a massive price tag of $359. Now let me just tell you right up front, guys. If you cannot afford this, do not even remotely try. No figure, nothing is worth going into debt over. I'm not going to turn this into a serious talk about finances. I am not your dad. That is not what I'm here for. If you're interested, I'm going to reach out to anyone watching. If you ever need advice or if you're interested in that sort of thing, hit me up. I'm totally willing to help share whatever life lessons I have. But this is a very expensive figure. And it's extremely detailed. It's immaculate. There's so much. If you want to see more photos, look into the Solo Chokokin Mechagodzilla. You might find that they've already done a Kuryu one, which I have in my collection. If you're interested in stop motion stuff, I'm assuming you are because you're one of my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time. I gotta say, these figures are stunning. They are incredible. They're some of the best that have ever been made. I am most likely going to order this. That's only because I can afford it. And also I have many ideas for how I would use this figure in my projects. But holy moly, it is pricey, it's spendy, so let me know if anyone else is interested in getting one. But yeah, there it is. Speaking of other figures, here is King of Mons, brought to you by SH Figure Arts. King of Mons is the main Mon star from the Ultraman Gaia Battle in Hyperspace movie. Estimated to arrive later this year. I kind of think it's going to be delayed a bit, but otherwise it's got a pretty high price as well. As much as I'm a fan of King of Mons and Ultraman, I'm actually not thinking of picking this one up. But if I had it in my collection, I would not be disappointed about it because this looks pretty awesome. Oh boy. All right. Everyone, we've reached... Oh, hang on. Let me bring up the big cam. Okay, everybody, we've reached the end of the Kaiju news roundup that I currently have, unless anyone else has anything they want to share with some news that I didn't talk about, or there's something else maybe I did bring up, but you want to talk about more. Hit me up, feel free, interrupt whenever, send a message, we'll talk about it. Here's the thing. We're now going to go from Kaiju news roundup to talking about my upcoming projects. These projects are coming soon, as in the next couple months. You'll either see these projects completed or they will be in the works, and just check out my community page here. I love sharing behind the scenes photos of my progress, so we're going to be going into that. I have some exclusive screen grabs to share with you guys. I'm going to also be bringing up some raw VFX footage that I haven't shared with anyone, just to give you an idea of what to expect. Also, some cool spoilers and Easter eggs, things that are true sneak peeks that no one else has seen, and I will likely not be sharing anytime soon. So, if you're watching live, if you're here now, hit that like button and get ready for awesome. Speaking of get ready for awesome, let me just take care of myself here so you can read the full print. Coming soon to Kaijutopia. All right, so first off, thank you everybody for 21,000 plus subscribers. Wow. It is still something that I never thought in a million years would happen. But thank you so much. If you've been a longtime subscriber, I appreciate your continued support and being there for all this time. If you're new to the channel, I'm so happy to have you. This is just something that I'm I don't know how else to express, but just seriously, thank you. Of course, this all starts happening around the time when I don't have any new content, ready to come your way in the next day or two. But trust me, I have new projects in the works. Here they are. Let's talk about them. Okay, so VFX is underway for Godzilla Rises. And Godzilla Rises, to those of you who don't know, it's basically a tribute of mine, a stop motion tribute of one of my favorite scenes from Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's when he's rising out of the water next to the submarine. It's pretty awesome. Then he fires his atomic breath into the sky. But the biggest twist of all is I have, instead of those boring human characters, instead of Coach Taylor, who's not boring, I take that back. Instead of Coach Taylor, I got Master Chief, Full Metal Alchemist, Charizard, Batman, Cyclops, and of course, some other characters who are going to be making appearances. But yeah, it's a nice little project. I've had this in mind for a while now. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And, yeah, the channel is called Kaijutopia. My projects are mainly Kaiju based. But I do love, going into other projects, which I'm going to get into. There will be non-Kaiju related projects coming soon in the near future. But I love the crossovers. I just love, like, the idea of Godzilla sharing the same screen as Charizard, as Batman. Hell yeah. Prosky, what's up? The chat visible, right? Currently, no, I don't have the chat visible. Sorry. Next project, though. Okay, so this is the one I think many of you... Where's my mouse? Here's the mouse right here. Okay. Godzilla Monster Island Rumble. This is going to be the big summer stop motion event. By that I mean it's going to take most of my summer to make this project. I currently do not have a release date in mind. But this is going to be worth the wait. I'm really excited about this one. This was a project that unlike so many of my other projects, which usually I've spent several months prepping for and thinking about, and this is still a relatively young project. Like, I thought about this maybe a couple months ago and just immediately knew this is it. This is the one. And of course, many of you helped. I had a poll months back. Excuse me. I had a poll a couple months back where you guys had the chance to vote and determine what the next big project was going to be. This is what most of you voted for. I'm very happy that you did, because honestly, it's so good that even if you guys didn't vote for it, I probably would have done it anyway. But anyway, the plot in a nutshell: Godzilla, Anguirus, Rodan, and Baragon go up against one of my favorite Ultraman Kaiju, Goza. It's going to be great. Goza is going to be a true physical powerhouse. Godzilla and his friends have met their match, and then some. Sparks are gonna fly. It's gonna be great. Now, in relation to that other poll, about voting for which project you want to see next, some of you also voted for this legendary Godzilla Minus One crossover, and the long-awaited Gamera 4 Herald of Mothra. When I say long-awaited, I'm sure most of you watching are like, what are you talking about? This is the first I've heard of it. This project has been in production for like over a year. There's a lot that goes into it, okay? And honestly, it was delayed mainly due to Titan Force, which was released a couple months back. I could go into more specifics on that later. But to any of you who are excited about these projects, that maybe you voted for the legendary Godzilla Minus One crossover or the Gamera 4, but you were disappointed that it didn't win, do not fear. I will make this movie. In fact, after Monster Island Rumble, this is going to become like, these movies are next in line. These stop motion projects are ones that I really want to work on, and hopefully we'll have finished within the next year. Here are some non-stop motion projects. I'm currently writing the scripts for pretty much all of these. We got Godzilla's most OP moments. This might end up being split into separate videos depending on the Godzilla, because Godzilla has many feats of note, of him showing off just how badass he is. So why limit it to just one? Another one that I love is What If Showa Godzilla and Gamera switched villains. That one's going to be a lot of fun. I got a lot of things to talk about for that one. I have a Ultimate MonsterVerse Power Hierarchy video. Look, I love me power ranking. Power scaling, fantasy fights. It's my bread and butter. Maybe not for the channel, but it's something I'm passionate about. Look no further than my Evolved Godzilla versus Burning Godzilla Who'd Win video that was posted a month ago. I want to just go over the top 10 most powerful Titans in the MonsterVerse, and I'm going all out with this. This is something I'll probably be working on shortly, but it's just hard to go from working VFX stop motion to other videos. Okay, Prosky thumbnail looks insane. I'm assuming you're talking about the for this stream, right? With the Shin Godzilla Avengers one. If so, yeah, it's pretty insane. Oh, I also want to do a top 10 Godzilla comic book moments video. So if you have any ideas in mind or any moments to you that stand out and you think this should be in your top 10, feel free to share at any time. And finally, a Monsters of Power video series. It's kind of similar to a power hierarchy ranking video, only instead I'm going to be focusing on kaiju that you may not know all that much about, or kaiju that you might have made the mistake of underestimating. You should totally fear their power because they're more powerful than you might think. Back to stop motion. I'm going to drop myself here so you could just see the whole list again. A Dragon Ball Thanos stop motion crossover. This would be a relatively short film with me just showing off my visual effects capabilities, skills, but also having Thanos share the same screen with Goku, Vegeta, and company would be awesome. Another project that I've had in mind for quite a while now. I honestly don't know how long. It's been a couple years since I whipped up the storyboard, but a creation of Kong. This is a Godzilla Kong twist of the famous painting by Michelangelo. This would most likely be a very short stop motion, if maybe not even a stop motion, but to give you something in mind, it's something that I thought was really funny, but I started working on it more and thought it really is quite cool. Mittens Cat Underlord. It's been so long, my friend. How are you doing, buddy? Take a sip of my coffee. Whew. Another project that I really have been waiting to do for quite a while now, but honestly, it's all about the script. This is most certainly a scripted pitch here for this, and it's called The Nightmare Reality of Living in the MonsterVerse. Exactly how it sounds. I would just be talking about how you might think as a Godzilla fan it would be really awesome living in a world with Godzilla and giant monsters, right? But living in the MonsterVerse would suck. It would be a nightmare. There's so much going on, and largely thanks to shows like Monarch Legacy of Monsters, I think we're really beginning to see the true terror, like just the Shadow, the massive Shadow, Godzilla, and other Titans like him casts, we're really seeing how much it would be just a terrible place to live, and I go all in on it. It will be grim dark, not like Warhammer 40k grim dark, but pretty it'll be nightmare fuel for sure. Mittens, I'm doing great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. One of my best friends, he's coming in later this week. He's flying in from New York. We're going to be celebrating his bachelor party, or bachelor weekend party. It's not just going to be for a day. Yeah, his wedding is this October. So, you know, we're going to have a blast. I got a lot of projects coming up. I was talking about Godzilla Minus One earlier. And of course here we got Godzilla Minus One analysis here at the bottom. Oh, wait, right here, right? Yeah, I'm pointing at it, right there. So, when I say Godzilla Minus One analysis, I mean like a ton of ideas. I have so many ideas. Some of you might remember me rambling about it earlier, but yeah. I gotta say, there's so much about this movie that I love. I've already made like several videos about Godzilla Minus One, and I have so many more. Alright, so I have some exclusive screen grabs to share with you guys. This is for the upcoming Godzilla Rises video. Let's take a look. So right here, we can see the submarine. We can see our characters assembled. Again, you got Full Metal Alchemist, Charizard, Batman, Master Chief, and Cyclops from the X-Men. They're all just chilling right here on this submarine. Why? Well, you'll have to wait and see. And right in front of them, this ominous blue glow is emerging. Wow. Another shot. We have a different angle here of Full Metal Alchemist Edward Elric turning around, facing his fellow teammates, pretty much with a crap kind of look on his face. We have another angle here, and if you are watching right now, you can see the jagged glowing spikes of Godzilla beginning to emerge. And there he is in all his amazingness. I'm happy to finally get his spike glows down. MonsterVerse Goji has a very unique glowing glow pattern. And while I don't think I've, perfected it just yet, because normally I do something completely different, I really like how this has turned out. Here's another angle. We see Godzilla firing his signature atomic breath into the sky. I've already revised this shot. Like, for example, I've removed the rain. Yeah, I might add rain again in the future. And Prosky, yeah, this is a tribute scene from King of the Monsters, just with a Kaijutopia twist. But I've already added the characters back. You'll see that they're missing right here from the submarine. But yeah, I have removed the rain in case anybody was wondering, but I just love this look. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Another angle of Godzilla's atomic breath, just, after blasting into the sky. Okay. The next two shots are spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, mute, look away, leave, I don't know. But there is a sixth member of this team. So again, we have Batman, Master Chief, Cyclops, Charizard, and Full Metal Alchemist. But there is a 6th member. First, we're going to see why that is Dragonzord. Wow. Ooh, oh, man. Dragonzord coming up from the depths. And we're seeing his user, the one and only Green Ranger. Fans of Power Rangers know all about what happened to Jason David Frank, who played Tommy. He was one of my all-time childhood heroes growing up, and his passing hit really hard. And I've been wanting to use Power Rangers for quite a while in these projects, so I thought, I know just the thing. So yeah, Tommy, the Green Ranger, he's not only the 6th Ranger of the Mighty Morphin group, but he's also the 6th team member of this strange multiversal team that I'm putting together. I do have more for you guys, but unfortunately this is where we're getting into the I don't know how long you're gonna have to wait for these upcoming projects. Seriously, I include the years on these ones, which should, you might have just raised your eyebrow, like, excuse me, years? Yeah, we're about to do that. We're about to go there, but I'm going to give you guys some pretty big insight into where I'm thinking about how these projects are going to go. Okay, so first off, before we get into that, regarding this project, Godzilla Rises, saw Full Metal Alchemist, Batman, Master Chief, Dragonzord, everybody, right? Here's the thing. This project will very much likely come out by the end of July. I am hoping to have it done sooner. I should have visual effects finished within the next 2 weeks, give or take. Sound might take a week as well, because there will be voiceover work. There's going to be a lot more to do. But sometime around July is when this project will likely be ready to be shared. And that's because I'm also working on other projects in the meantime. I will, of course, take breaks from doing stop motion, but this project is going to be coming out sometime in July. Godzilla Monster Island Rumble with Goza. That's going to be the next big project I'm going to be, VFX-wise, I'm going to be working on right after this project. That, I cannot tell you exactly when it's going to come out. It's going to take me a while to work on because there's a lot that goes on. I might hit a good stride. We'll see. But Monster Island Rumble, I'm hoping ideally that'll come out maybe in September, early October. If I do everything right, maybe late August. We'll see. These projects, however, are, well, see for yourself. Now, they're not all in order. So any project you see that's in green, I'm hoping to have this finished by 2025. Some of these in blue are slated for 2026. Purple, 2027. The ones in red, I have no idea because they're the ones that I estimate a 12-month long production for. Oh God, let me explain. Alright, let's start over here top left with Titan Force. Titan Force, maybe you're familiar with. You saw a scene of that I released months back that starred Godzilla, Ultraman, Gamera, Kong, and company. It was basically Kaiju meets Avengers, right? Okay. That was just a scene. It took me months just to make that single scene. It was intense. And I have so much more planned for this project because it's an ambitious crossover. And when I say Titan Force would take me 12 plus months to make, it's, in other words, it would take me a year, possibly years to make this. This is a project that I would have to pretty much work exclusively on in whatever spare time I have. It would be so worth it because what I have planned for that would, well, let me just say, in Titan Force, our ensemble of Titans face off against not only Gauss, but also Iris as well, the main Gamera Kaiju. Now, the Gauss swarm is quite, let me put it to you like this. So earlier I talked about Gamera 4 Herald of Mothra, and that was delayed because of this project. The reason why it was delayed is because the Gauss play a huge, massive role because there's so many of them in both of these respective stories. The effects, the work that goes into me prepping for just the Gauss alone takes a lot of time. I'm almost there in terms of nailing down how I can do this, stay on schedule, and make sure it looks great. I don't want the quality to ever diminish. But Titan Force would take a long time. Either way, doing Iris, who's one of my favorite kaiju, but the figure that I have, the SH Monster Arts Iris, is not only fragile, but like, you gotta be extremely careful with that. And there's a lot that I have planned for him. So there are a couple others here. I'll just talk about the other. I'll do this quickly. Let's talk about the other red ones, the other big 12 plus, yearly spanning productions. In the bottom left, we have Godzilla in Hell, stop motion adaptation. Godzilla in Hell is actually based on a comic book miniseries. It's really cool, but I would basically be adapting it for my stop motion endeavors. And I got, again, tons of ideas. You might see something like this in the lower right corner over here, Godzilla Destroya Kings of Hell. This could actually end up being lumped into the Godzilla in Hell adaptation. Real quick, the Kings of Hell project would just be, in a nutshell, after the events of Godzilla vs. Destroya, Godzilla and Destroya died, and what happened to them? Well, they're now continuing their rematch, their quarrel in Hell is the plot. But yes, Godzilla in Hell is based on that comic book miniseries by James Stokoe, and an assortment of other artists and writers as well. James Stokoe didn't write the entirety of Godzilla in Hell. I actually met one of the Godzilla in Hell artists a while back at Emerald City Comic Con. I think his name's Moody. Sorry, forgive me everyone if I can't remember his name, but the guy was really cool, super friendly, signed, autographed my graphic novel. It was really cool. But the other projects over here. Let's talk about Choose Your Own Adventure, Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and Kong. Some of you may not know what a Choose Your Own Adventure is. It would be like opening up a book, getting to the end of a chapter, and instead of turning the page, you see something at the end that tells you, okay, what do you want to see happen next? Do you want Godzilla to go fight King Ghidorah? Or do you want Godzilla to go save Kong from Gigan? Turn to this page depending on your answer. And then eventually, as you go throughout the story, there are a number of different ways this story can end. Instead of a book has one ending, but with a choose your own adventure, it could have several, maybe even dozens of endings. I take this concept and apply it to YouTube, a YouTube video. You would reach the end of the first video, and you, the viewer, would get to decide what happens next. It's not going to be super complex at first. It would be basically you reach the end of the first video, and it's going to be like, do you want the good guys to win, or do you want the bad guys to win? You want the good guys to win? Click here. Takes you to a different video where the good guys, spoiler, end up winning. Maybe I'll throw in a twist or two, etc., etc. This project will I'm sorry to say, it'll take a very long time. Not as long as Titan Force, but producing this would be a all hands on deck. There's no other content coming out. Part of my apprehension is that when you don't release content, YouTube pretty much makes it extremely hard for your subscribers to find your stuff. You have to actively search up Kaijutopia to just see if I've, released anything new or what have you. I'm very apprehensive about doing this because now this channel is finally beginning to grow after so many years of being pretty much an unknown, and I still am. I'm not that well known in like online kaiju discourse. Totally fine. I'm just saying I do care about, making sure that when my content is released that you see it, because I'm doing this for you, and I don't like if I find out later, oh, YouTube didn't notify you that my video was up, then that's a massive bummer. If it reaches, I want to do these big projects so bad, even if it takes me 1,000,000 years to get them done. But when we reach the point where I'm ready to start one of these, it's because I'm now confident that by the time I'm finished, I'm pretty sure you will see it. It's at the point where my channel has grown to the point where I think we could take that risk. That's it. That's one of the reasons why I'm a bit hesitant to go into this, to start any one of these big red bolded projects, because they not only take a long time to make, but by the time I would make them, I don't even know if many people will watch them. So there's that. Prosky, unrelated question. All right, shoot. Let's hear it. What question do you have? If you don't mind, Prosky, though, I'm going to keep going. But yeah, shoot your question and I'll do my best to answer. Removing myself in the bottom right corner, you see Superman, the God Butcher. This is not a kaiju project. This is basically a crossover between Superman and Gore the God Butcher from the Marvel Thor comics. I'm not going to go too much into detail on the plot here. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think, if you're in the least bit familiar with either of these two characters, but just to make sure nobody, is scratching their head anyway, Gore he hunts gods. And he just so happens to think Superman is a god of hope, which is completely contradictory in Gore's eyes. So yeah, this one would take a long time to make as well. And it being my channel is mainly kaiju related, so taking a year off or several months off just to work on a project that's not related to kaiju in any way, well, again, that's an even bigger risk. Of all the videos here, of all the projects that are a massive risk, this is the biggest one. And it's also one that I really want to do as well. I mean, every project that I share with you guys, I really want to do, but Brosky, what are your opinions on the Godzilla Jr. kid, aka the chubby green one design? The Godzilla Jr. chubby green one design? I'm very, I'm not following. I don't know what you mean. Perhaps you can elaborate. Oh, opinions on the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla Jr. design. You mean the baby Godzilla design? The one that looks like Barney, in a way? Green Barney. Kind of looks a little cute, but also... what's the word? Whatever. Clearly, the coffee hasn't done its trick. I really I'm kind of indifferent to these sort of designs. I can see the appeal, why they were made the way they were. I mean, little kids love them. I mean, my son loves Baby Godzilla, Little Godzilla, for example. I think it's Little Godzilla is the name, not Baby Godzilla, but it sure has more. It looks more like a baby than Little Godzilla from Mechagodzilla did. It looks cute, and he's kind of adorable. I don't really have much more to add to that. All right. Anyway, Prosky, feel free if you have any more questions or anything you want to share or talk about, fire away. I'm going to keep going. Now we're going to talk about the projects that I hope to be working on later in the year, and hopefully we'll see these being made next year in 2025. And I do have some exclusive screen grabs for some of these projects that I'm going to be sharing. I came prepared because I know you guys, well, you're all visual people, right? We're all visual learners here. All right, let's talk about the one in the top, Godzilla v Superman, Dawn of Monsters. Crossover between Godzilla and Superman. Two of my favorite characters of all time. You may also be aware of the fact that I've been working on a Godzilla vs. Batman series. You can see that in the top right corner here. I say 2026. That's when I think part 4 will be finished. Now there's a chance I might just merge these together, and at which point this could easily become a 2025 project, and at long last those movies are over. But to be frank with you guys, I like Superman way more than Batman, so Godzilla fighting Superman, I think, has more potential to it. It sounds like it would be more exciting, entertaining. The battles alone would be just, well, yeah. Whatever I have to say pales in comparison to what you're imagining in your heads right now. I just need to prep a little better. I need to, when it comes to these projects, I have to not only, there's more to it than just storyboarding. By prep, I mean I gotta like financially prepare. There's a lot of things that I have to plan out in advance, not just like money-wise, what sort of assets do I need to, acquire, any new figures, props, but also making sure I'm coordinating with my family, like, okay, here's the time in which I'm going to be working on this project, and I just schedule things way out in advance. It's the only way I get anything released or finished, or it's the only way to get anything done. This next project, Godzilla vs. Gamera, War in Heaven. Okay. Many of you probably don't know, but a teaser of this movie was released last October. It was the 2023 Kaijutopia Halloween special, and it was actually a Godzilla vs. Gamera teaser trailer in disguise. In this story, you're basically seeing GMK Godzilla go up against Heisei Gamera, but with a massive twist. See, the ghost of Serizawa is involved in this story. There's actually, almost every Godzilla fan filmmaker on YouTube, from, other stop motion artists to CGI animators, etc. I feel like doing a Godzilla vs. Gamera video has always been a sort of like, well, yeah, we're all doing it, right? And that's because it's awesome. And of course, we all want to see this. I have not done this yet. I have had Godzilla and Gamera share the same screen in my projects, but I haven't had them go all out in a big, massive, visceral fight to the death. The reason why is because I want mine to be different. I actually want a damn good story. And this is the one. This is a project that I'm super passionate about. I'm very proud of the story that's in the works. I'm just trying to make it better. I'm trying to improve it. But as the story goes, basically long ago, Serizawa died in the original Gojira movie. But instead of finding paradise or just resting, he found himself in a sort of purgatory. Or, you know, he actually was one of the many souls taken by what would ultimately become a GMK Godzilla, who's more like a demonic Godzilla, if anything. And Serizawa alone was able to escape, and now everywhere he goes, Godzilla is haunting him. Chasing after, trying to get him back. And Serizawa's pleas, calls for help attract the attention of Gamera. So there's a lot to this project. And I can't really give you a good runtime. It could end up being a short, it could be 3.5 minutes to 9 minutes. I have no idea how long this is going to be, because the plot, I got the synopsis down, I got a fairly good idea of how things are going to end, but there's a lot to work on. Next, we got Kong vs. Biollante. Kong vs. Biollante has been in the works for I'd say at least 2 years now. I don't have any storyboards completely fleshed out, but I do have good concept art to work with. I have a pretty good frame of how this sort of thing would go, and there's a lot of things to look forward to for this project. Kong, of course, would be receiving a lot of I would say character development. There's a lot that I want to do and explore. Get to see Kong when he was younger, his parents, what this has to do with Biollante arriving in Skull Island. I'm going to keep ambiguous for now. This project is actually going to be connected to a much larger project. A project that eclipses everything else on this list. If I were to include it right now, it wouldn't be a 12-month production. It would be this is like 3 or 5 years from now, and ideally, if I ever get to that, I could like retire and work on it completely or something. There's a lot that goes into it. Excuse me. Okay, so I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes rambling about every single project here or trying to go into too much detail. So if you guys see a project here, I'm going to remove myself. If you see a project here that really catches your eye and you would like a little bit more information, feel free to let me know. But right over here, we got Godzilla Destroy All Gods. This is basically Godzilla going around and taking on all the pantheons of old. So Godzilla fighting the Greek gods, Norse gods, Egyptian gods. It's basically Godzilla, cosplaying as Kratos. Next, we have Monster X fighting Ultraman, Jaguar, and Kiryu Mechagodzilla. This is actually, if I recall correctly, yes, I do. This project is actually a sequel to my Mechagodzilla Destroya Space Godzilla movie from 2 years ago. So expect G-Force and other characters, other things to pop off here. But yeah, that has been delayed for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to get into them just yet. Guys, okay, I said I would go fast, but I gotta talk about something. This next video is going to be this next project is a doozy right here. But Mechagodzilla Showa versus Destroya. Oh my god, this is a new one, and the story for it is pretty cool. Basically, what would happen if the people from the third planet of the black hole, the simians, you know, the ape people, they're on their way to invade Earth. Imagine their spaceship armada. They got Space Godzilla, and they're getting ready, and they send out like a list of demands to the people of Earth. People of Earth, we are here to conquer. You can either surrender now or be destroyed forever. And then there's like radio silence, and they're like, hello, did you not hear us? And as soon as these guys arrive, too late, there are no people left. The planet is in ruins because of Destroya. Yep. So now the simians have come all this way. They have to, you know, they need Earth. Their planet's being sucked into a black hole. They have no choice. So now they have to take the Earth from Destroya. So pretty fun. Godzilla and Mechagodzilla versus Hedorah. This is based on the Godzilla Legends comic book. This is yet another stop motion adaptation I have in mind. Not a stop motion. This is called Gamera versus Baragon comic version. In 2003, the comic of this came out. This takes place between Gamera 2 and Gamera 3 in the Heisei trilogy. I would just do a review analysis of this story. It's pretty good. Man, I am losing my voice. I gotta hang in there. We're almost done. Next, a non-kaiju stop-motion face-off between Halo's Master Chief, Marvel's Captain America, and Final Fantasy VII's Cloud Strife, with the possible cameo of some other legendary characters. Next, Godzilla 2000, a film comic comparison. I'll do a review of both the film and the comic based on Godzilla 2000, and there's a lot of interesting parallels and differences. This next one, Ultraman Gamera Big O versus Sachiel. Sachiel is the third angel from Evangelion. This one's going to be fun. It might get promoted, and you might see it sometime next year, maybe sooner. Sonic the Hedgehog taking on Frieza from Dragon Ball. Enough said, enough said. Alright everyone, my voice is about to die, but before I leave you, here are some exclusive clips. Well, not clips. Should I show you clips? I don't know. Here are some screen grabs from these upcoming projects. Here is Godzilla vs. Gamera, War in Heaven. Next, we got Titan Force, Kong versus Biollante, and Godzilla versus Batman. Sorry, I don't have any Godzilla versus Superman work ready for you, but this should still be sufficient for now. Alright, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching, for being a subscriber. Everybody, thank you for stopping by. Love you all. I am going to go rest, maybe watch Godzilla Minus Color. And until then, until we meet again, I hope you're all safe. Take care of yourselves.